Greetings, YouTube. When I built my small eye-bolt mace, the cable moor mace, I wasn't 100% happy with the placement of the handle because when it went in, it racked slightly because the handle is bigger diameter than the shaft. So what I thought I would do, I took it apart and I'm going to put some duct tape on it to center it, the way I did with the spears I've made recently. And I'm probably going to do the same thing with the other two I'm going to make as well. So we're going to have a small, a medium, and then a two-handed heavy mace with that one over there. And I would like to thank the Fastenal company. I am not endorsed by them in any way, but the Fastenal company was able to help me because they had the nuts I need, they had the washers I needed, I had the split washers. I had these already, but I needed big lock washer, I needed big washers, I needed these nuts, and they had them all and at reasonable prices. I actually had to special order these two because all they had was a bag of like, I don't know, 20 of them. I didn't need 20 of these things, so I just special ordered it. And it was a very reasonable price. I think the cost of these two and the washers was like under $3 or $2, something like that. And it was very speedy. I ordered it on a Friday. I was able to pick it up on a Monday, so that was awesome. So this should hopefully be a fairly quick build. The only problem is that running the nuts up these shafts is a nightmare. I did it once off so I could give you this is what it looks like, bare naked look. So putting them on is going to be equally annoying, but I'm going to be able to put them in my vise and then use this naked shaft to spin the bolt. So hopefully just spin it right through the nut. That will actually speed the process up. Hopefully in quite a bit. I almost wish I had some way of doing this mechanically, like if I had some small motor or something I could hook onto it. But I know that my drill, even if I were able to rig something up, doesn't really have enough horsepower to do that. But yeah, so I'm going to put these together and we're going to see how it goes. So the first thing we're going to do is put a nut on the inside of each one. So that I can then figure out where I want the handles. This one's pretty simple. It's going to be right where it was. But I haven't figured out the placement for this one or that one. So that's the first job, is to put one nut on each side on the inside so that I can then put in the washer, then the duct tape, and then the grip. So it has to be done in a specific order. So just now it's time for a, if you'll pardon the metaphor, a whole lot of screwing. Alright, that was thoroughly tedious and boring. I broke out a black pipe I've had kicking around down here to make this easier. That pipe gave me a whole lot more leverage because it's longer. And I'm sure that, most people keep, 2-foot black iron pipes in their basements. Doesn't everyone do that? I'm sure. I'm sure that everyone also carries around weapons racks and builds post-apocalyptic things, or is that just me? Okay, I have made a relevant discovery that setting things up like this when it comes to wrapping them with duct tape is a whole lot easier. The object is held for me, I'm just wrapping it around and with a nice degree of tension on it so it's nice and straight and there's no ranging around, there's no folds in it. I've also discovered that using my set of vernier calipers means I can measure the inside of the pipe I'm going to be putting onto the handle and then measure this so that there's less fiddling with having to overdo it and cut some off and then check it again and cut some off and check it again. So it gets me closer to the target. And in fact, the first one, I only had to cut off a very small section before I had it tuned into where I want it. So now I'm going to cut this one off and see how close I am. Alright, I got this one tightened on. It is just flush. The bolt is just ever so slightly proud of the nut. So the nut is actually not 100% on, but I've got more than half of the threads engaged. So you only need like 1.5 to 2 threads to really get a good tight bite. And that lock washer is nice and flat. And I actually ended up grinding off probably 1.5 to 2 threads off each end just to get this close. This pipe and the amount of thread on here was a little shorter than I wanted. It wasn't ideal. That's a nice thing about having a grinder and a belt sander. I could get this thing to be right where I want it, and then nice and square and flush on the ends. So that's right where I have it. It gives me enough space that I don't feel I'm crowded on that. So now we have one more to get down to, the big one. I may just try one in the middle, because again, all it's doing is centering it so it doesn't rack as much. And if I have to, I will put two on there. I'd like to avoid that because that's kind of a excess taping. Don't really, it's not a lot of fun. And I also had to break out my big wrench, because nothing else I have down here will actually grab any nuts this big. This small one here, which is actually going to be my friend's wrench when I'm done cleaning it up for her Christmas gift, was usable on this small one here. But the big wrench was required on this one, and it will be required on the next one. So there we go. We have 3 eye-bolt or cable more maces. The 2 smaller ones are really quite handy, and they actually toss quite well. I can't juggle or anything, but I mean just swinging them and catching them in one at a time. They have a nice balance to them. They really do. They're quite lively. The larger one, though, is a friggin' beast. This thing is unbelievably heavy. I mean, I'm going to go outside and swing it against the stump just to see how it feels. But just, doing a swing in here, because I have to break it because I'm not hitting anything, recovery time for this thing is going to be forever. But if you hit something, anything, you're going to break something. I mean, I don't think body armor is going to slow this thing down. It's going to knock the person to the ground, even if they've got something to cover them up. And I really like the nice tight setting up here. That there it is. You can see that I've got that lock washer completely flat. That's nice and tight, and again I got that just slightly proud, which is kind of what I want. Which is pretty much the same on this one, and this one is just a smidge. That one's a little sticking out, not sticking out quite as far as I'd like, but again, I was limited the amount of threads I had on there, and I didn't want to grind the pipe down any further than I did. Now these 2 are the same diameter pipes, and this one is the next step up. Also, obviously, it's considerably longer. These are about 5 inches, and that's a 12-inch. I think it's a good choice. I had considered buying a larger piece and cutting it down to make, a custom size, because I got an angle grinder. I can put a cutoff wheel. But I think I made a good call on the 12-inch. I think it's the right size. Okay, now to go outside and take some shots for my DeviantArt page. And I'm considering getting myself a Pinterest, because Pinterest has a larger audience, so I might be able to get some more interest in my weapon builds by putting them on the Pinterest site. So I may do that as well. I don't know, I'm going to go look and see how much effort is required in getting a page, a site on my own account there. So now it's going to go outside and take some shots. And I have to get upstairs because my cats are probably all starving to death.